The 911 operator thought it was just another prank call until she heard the terrified whisper, "They're inside the house. And my dad has been missing for 3 days." What police discovered that night shocked the entire town of Blackwood, Ohio. Emma Carter had never been afraid of silence before, but after her father disappeared, silence became unbearable. 3 days earlier, her dad, Michael Carter, had left for work like any normal morning. He owned a small repair shop on the edge of town and usually returned home before sunset. But that Thursday night, he never came back. At first, Emma thought maybe his truck had broken down, but when his phone kept going straight to voicemail, fear started crawling in. The next morning, Emma and her mother, Linda, reported him missing. Police searched everywhere, but there was no sign of Michael Carter. No accident, no bank activity, no phone signal, nothing. Missing people didn't just vanish in this quiet neighborhood. By the third night, tension filled the house like poison. Every little sound outside made Emma's heart race. At around 1:13 a.m., Emma heard something strange downstairs, a loud metallic sound, like someone dropping tools onto the kitchen floor. She froze in bed. The sound came again, clang, then footsteps, slow, heavy. Emma grabbed her phone with shaking hands and locked her bedroom door. She whispered into the phone as the 911 operator answered. "911, what's your emergency?" "There's someone inside my house." "Can you see the intruder?" "No, but I hear footsteps downstairs." Then Emma heard something that made her blood run cold. A man's voice downstairs, soft, whispering. "Emma." It sounded exactly like her father. Tears filled her eyes. "Dad?" No response, only silence again. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed against the front door. Another crash followed. Emma screamed quietly into the phone. Outside, rain poured across the empty streets as Officer Daniel Reyes arrived first at the Carter residence. The front door was slightly open. The house lights flickered. Officer Reyes called for backup before stepping inside. "Police department! Anyone inside?" No answer. The kitchen looked destroyed. Broken plates covered the floor. Mud footprints stretched across the hallway. Then Officer Reyes noticed something horrifying on the kitchen wall. Written in red paint were the words, "He should have stayed buried." Backup officers stormed inside. They searched room by room while Emma remained locked upstairs. Then one officer opened the basement door. A terrible smell drifted upward. Officer Reyes shined his flashlight down the staircase. "Police! Show me your hands!" No response, only heavy breathing. The officers slowly descended the stairs. Then the flashlight revealed a man sitting in the corner, covered in dirt, hands trembling. It was Michael Carter, alive, but something about him looked horribly wrong. Tied around his wrist was a broken chain. Officer Reyes carefully approached him. "Michael, can you hear me?" Michael looked up slowly. His lips trembled. Then he whispered 4 words that changed the entire investigation forever. "They're still watching us." Before officers could ask another question, the basement lights suddenly shut off. Complete darkness swallowed the room. Then came the sound of footsteps running upstairs. Fast, aggressive, the officers rushed back toward the main floor. But by the time they reached the kitchen, the back door was wide open. Whoever had been inside the house was gone, and they had left behind one thing, a photograph. Officer Reyes picked it up carefully. The image showed Michael Carter standing beside another man near a wooded area. But the second man's face had been scratched out. On the back of the photo, written in black marker, were the words, "You should have never called 911." Michael Carter refused to speak for nearly 12 hours. Doctors treated dehydration, cuts, and severe exhaustion, but physically, he was lucky to be alive. Mentally, however, he looked broken. Emma sat beside his hospital bed while detectives waited outside the room. Finally, Michael grabbed his daughter's hand tightly. "They know where we are." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Who knows?" Michael looked toward the window nervously before answering. "The men from the woods." Detective Sarah Collins entered the room quietly. "Michael, we need you to tell us exactly what happened." Michael hesitated for several seconds. Then he finally spoke. 3 nights earlier, he had closed his repair shop around 8 p.m. and started driving through Old Mill Road, a forest highway locals avoided. Halfway through the road, he saw an SUV parked near the trees. At first, he thought someone needed help, but as he got closer, he noticed 2 men dragging large garbage bags into the woods. One of the bags moved. Michael stopped his truck immediately. When the men noticed him, everything changed. One man approached his truck holding a flashlight while the other reached behind his back. Michael panicked and tried to reverse. But another vehicle suddenly blocked the road behind him. Within seconds, masked men surrounded the truck. They dragged Michael out and beat him unconscious. When he woke up, he was inside an abandoned cabin deep in the woods. For 3 days, they kept him chained in the basement. Michael said he overheard terrifying conversations. The men were part of a trafficking operation moving people across state lines. Old Mill Road was being used as a transport route. Detective Collins immediately contacted federal authorities. If Michael's story was true, this was far bigger than a local missing persons case. But one detail disturbed detectives most. "How did you escape?" Collins asked. Michael stared down at his shaking hands. "I didn't." The room fell silent. "One of them let me go." "Why would they do that?" Michael looked terrified. "Because they wanted to follow me home." Detective Collins immediately ordered police protection around the hospital and the Carter residence. Meanwhile, officers searched Old Mill Road with K-9 units and drones. After hours of searching, they found the abandoned cabin. Inside, investigators discovered something horrifying. The basement contained chains bolted into concrete walls and several dirty mattresses. There was children's clothing and dozens of photographs. Photos of missing people from multiple states: Texas, Nevada, Michigan, Florida. Some victims had been missing for years. FBI agents arrived before sunrise. The case instantly became national news, but the nightmare was only beginning. Later that night, Officer Reyes reviewed security footage from the Carter neighborhood. At 12:47 a.m., cameras captured a black SUV parking. 2 masked men stepped out. Then, a third figure exited slowly from the passenger side. Officer Reyes froze the footage. It was Michael Carter, walking toward his own house. But according to Michael, he had escaped alone. Something didn't add up. Detective Collins replayed the footage repeatedly. Michael appeared calm, not frightened, not injured, almost cooperative. Then Collins noticed something even stranger. Right before entering the house, Michael looked directly toward the camera. Back at the hospital, detectives rushed to question him again, but when they entered his room, the bed was empty. The heart monitor had been disconnected, and written on the bathroom mirror in red letters were the words, "You were warned." Police locked down the hospital. Security footage showed Michael leaving through a rear exit only 10 minutes earlier, but he wasn't alone. Detectives identified her as Rachel Moore, but after checking her records, investigators discovered something chilling. Rachel Moore didn't exist. Suddenly, the FBI realized the truth. This organization had people everywhere: hospitals, road crews, maybe even inside law enforcement. The case was becoming more dangerous by the hour. Then, Emma received a text message from her father's phone. 3 words. "Don't trust police." Emma stared at the message for several seconds. Her hands trembled. Detective Collins immediately took the phone for analysis, but the damage was already done. Fear spread through the investigation team. If the criminal network had infiltrated local systems, nobody knew who could be trusted anymore. Then, Emma noticed an envelope on the floor outside the room. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Emma sleeping inside the motel room only hours earlier. Someone had been watching them. FBI agents evacuated the building immediately. Detective Collins realized the leak had to be internal. Someone inside law enforcement was feeding information directly to the traffickers. Meanwhile, analysts traced Michael Carter's phone signal to an industrial shipping yard near the Ohio River. SWAT teams prepared for a raid before sunrise. The shipping yard looked abandoned from the outside. Rusty containers, broken fences, but thermal drones revealed movement inside several cargo containers. At 5:12 a.m., tactical units moved in. The first warehouse appeared empty, but deeper inside, officers discovered hidden rooms built behind false walls. Inside those rooms were terrified victims chained together in darkness: men, women, teenagers. Some had been missing for years. Several victims burst into tears the moment police entered. One young boy kept repeating the same sentence over and over. "They said nobody would ever find us?" Federal agents arrested 6 suspects during the raid, but the operation leader was still missing. And so was Michael Carter. Then, one SWAT officer shouted from the far end of the warehouse. They had found another hidden room. Inside sat dozens of computer monitors showing live security feeds from across the city. Traffic cameras, hospital hallways, police parking lots, even Detective Collins' office. The trafficking ring had been spying on law enforcement for years. Then, agents discovered a final monitor still active. Live footage showed Michael Carter tied to a chair inside another location. A masked man stepped into the camera view. He removed the mask slowly. Detective Collins felt sick instantly. It was Police Captain Robert Hayes, one of the most respected officers in the state. Hayes looked directly into the camera. "You should have stopped digging." The screen went black. FBI agents launched a statewide manhunt immediately. News channels exploded with breaking coverage, but Captain Hayes had disappeared. For nearly 48 hours, there was no trace of him. Then, a hunter hiking through the forests near Old Mill Road discovered an underground bunker hidden beneath an abandoned barn. SWAT teams surrounded the property at sunset. Inside the bunker, officers found weapons, fake passports, cash, and surveillance equipment, and in the final room, Michael Carter, still alive. Captain Hayes stood beside him holding a gun. "You have no idea how deep this goes," Hayes warned. Detective Collins tried negotiating peacefully, but Hayes only laughed. Michael suddenly elbowed Hayes and knocked the weapon away. Gunshots exploded through the bunker. Chaos erupted everywhere. When it finally ended, Captain Hayes lay wounded on the floor while SWAT officers rushed Michael to safety. As federal agents searched the bunker, they uncovered records connected to trafficking operations across multiple countries. The investigation became one of the largest criminal cases in modern U.S. history. Over 70 victims had been rescued, but some suspects were never found. And even after Captain Hayes went to prison, Detective Collins could never forget his final warning. There are hundreds more. Emma and her family eventually moved away from Ohio. They changed their names, started new lives, but every year, on the anniversary of the 911 call, Emma receives an envelope with no return address. Inside is always the same message. "We're still watching." If this story shocked you, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more terrifying mysteries. What would you do if you heard someone inside your house at 1 a.m.?